Good money, baby. It's your girl Dime, and I'm back with another bag talk. Yeah, today's topic, I get a lot of questions, I get a lot of inquiries regarding tax returns. So today's topic, I want to talk about when is it smart to do your own tax return? Okay, a lot of people are skeptical. Should I do my own? Should I get somebody else to do it? We're going to go over that today with today's topic on when is it smart to do your own tax return. So when somebody has a basic return, I suggest that they do their own taxes. Now, what is a basic return? For example, somebody who have one single source of income, like one job, you're claiming the standard deduction, maybe 0 to 1 dependents, and you're getting limited credits such as the earned income credit. So that is an example of a basic return where I would suggest that somebody could do their own taxes because it's not as difficult or complicated. I turn down clients all the time if they have just a simple tax return. If they tell me that they've been filing their own taxes, through a software for years, and I'd be like, okay, tell me a little bit about your situation. If it's just a simple tax return, then I tell them, look, you might as well keep doing what you've been doing. So I turn down a lot of clients just on the simple fact that they have a simple and basic tax return. So it's probably best that they file their own taxes. But if they want counsel from a tax advisor, then I onboard them because then I can provide them with value. Some people are just not in the space to start taking their finances seriously, and I'm aware of that. So why would I waste my time with people who don't see the value in hiring a tax advisor? If they feel like they could do their taxes on their own, why am I trying to convince them that they need to hire me? Because they're probably fine doing it on their own. Okay, everybody want to make money in this business, but I'm in the business to be productive, not just busy. Okay, so making money with no purpose is just simply boring, just like your 9 to 5 job. If you're doing it with no purpose, after so long, it become boring to you if you're not adding value or feel like you're fulfilling a purpose. So most people know that they can prepare their own taxes, but hiring a professional gives them that peace of mind. Okay, tax codes can be difficult to decipher, and it's so much information. It's just a lot to keep up with, especially as your tax return gets more complicated. It's probably best that you hire a tax advisor to make sure that you're staying in compliance with the tax laws. Okay, having a complicated tax return doesn't mean that you have to have a complicated life if you hire the right tax accountant and someone that you can trust. Otherwise, taxes can make your life a living hell, and it can get really messy and cost you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars just to detangle the situation. So you want to be mindful of that. It's cool to file your own tax return if you have just a basic tax return, but as it get more complicated, you might want to hire somebody to do your taxes. And most people panic when they get the IRS mail. When they get IRS letters in the mail, they panic, they freak out, they don't know what to do. That's when it's best to have a tax professional guide you through the process of responding to an IRS letter. The absolute worst thing you can do is ignore a letter from the IRS unless you agree with what the letter is saying. Otherwise, you want to stay in contact and communicate and respond back to the IRS if they send you a letter because you want to clear up any misunderstandings if there are any. Okay. The thing is, it's not that difficult to do your own taxes. It just may cost you a little bit more time. But other than that, if you have a simple or basic tax return, then it's perfectly fine to file your own taxes. Okay. So we just basically went over reasons why it's smart to do your own taxes. So when and when not you should file your own taxes, in my opinion, here's some pros and cons. Pros: you have W-2 income with no dependents. That's really simple, really basic. That's fine. That's a pro. You should file your own tax return. Another pro, when filing your own tax return, you're taking the standard deduction versus the itemized deduction, because itemizing will require you to file the Schedule A form. Okay, and it's best to be organized when keeping track of your tax bills, expenses, contributions that you pay throughout the year to determine which deduction you should take, the standard deduction or the itemized deduction. Those deductions help lower your taxable income. Another pro in doing your own tax return is cheaper, or even sometimes it's free until it becomes more complicated and you have to file certain forms, like I just mentioned, the Schedule A. Then you will have to pay more for your tax return. Another pro when it's a good idea to file your own tax return is you get a first glimpse of your own financial situation. But that's if you even care, because some people truly just do not care. They just want to make sure they file their taxes, get a refund back if they overpaid, or pay the IRS if they underpaid. Okay, so it's not really a big deal to them. Another pro in when to file your own tax return is if you're not tax planning. Again, if you're not in the space to be proactive about your future finances, maybe you ain't got no motion, maybe you ain't got no experience, then it's fine to file your own tax return because your tax situation isn't as complicated. Okay. Now, here are some cons, and I wouldn't suggest that you file your own tax return. Again, it's not that difficult to file your own tax return. If you have a simple, basic return, then look, file your own tax return, save some money, and just keep it pushing. But here are some cons when filing your own tax return. You may not be correctly entering information, okay? You may not be paying attention to the details and making sure that you're answering questions correctly. The tax law can be very confusing, okay? There's instructions to instructions to instructions, and it can get complicated and confusing and really frustrating if you're not actively in the field and keeping up with what changes, because things change constantly in the tax laws, okay? Another con to filing your own tax return, you can qualify for certain credits, but if you do not file the correct forms, because sometimes there's glitches in the system, the software that you're using, and it may not pick up on a credit that you would be qualifying for. So if you're not familiar with the tax credit or the law and you miss it, you leaving money on the table. So that's a con when filing your own tax return, because you may not be familiar with a certain tax credit. The software don't pick up on it. You looking at your 1040, you don't know what you're reading, and you leaving money on the table because you didn't file a form. All right. Another con to filing your own tax returns, if you legally do not qualify for certain credits and you still take them, you can be audited and penalized by the IRS. So it's so easy to fall for the trap, and that's why they call it a trap. Okay. And file a false return. Because nobody's monitoring you, nobody's watching you when you're filing your own tax return. So now you have to hire a tax advisor to help put out those fires that you created for yourself, all because you wanted to illegally take a credit, claim a credit that you did not qualify for. Okay, another con, I think, when preparing your own taxes is you're 100% responsible for any errors that you made, because there isn't a paid prepare. You didn't hire anybody to do the taxes. Versus if you would have hired a professional, things will fall on them first for them not doing their proper due diligence. So you're 100% responsible for any mistakes that you made if you file your own tax return. So that's another con, in my opinion, when you're doing that. Another con to filing your own tax return is you have nobody to properly explain and break down your tax return to you. Okay, sometimes you have more questions or need a little bit more guidance, because again, those questions could seem tricky, and then you're just going down a rabbit hole, because there's instructions upon instructions and upon instructions that you have to read and research to make sure that you're filing your taxes correctly. Another con to filing your own tax return is easy to underreport income. If you don't report the income that's on your 1099s or W-2s, that can send a red flag to the IRS. Okay. What people fail to realize is that the income that's attached to your social security number, that's being reported by the people who paid you. Okay, they're obligated to report income they paid to someone else. They have to report that to the IRS, and they get tax write-offs because the government rewards people who provides jobs. So of course they gonna tell the IRS that they paid you X amount of dollars. Of course they gonna, y'all fail to realize that. So if what you file on your own tax return and the income that was reported to the IRS, if it's not matching up, that's gonna trigger a red flag, baby. So y'all fail to realize that you have to report all of your income. And if you're filing your own tax return, it's easy to underreport your income. Okay, so I just went over when is it smart to do your own taxes. Again, it's not really hard to do your own taxes. It's only as your finances get more complicated. It doesn't necessarily mean your life is more complicated, although it can be. If you don't have your financials in order, then your life can seem complicated, and you might want to hire a tax advisor or a tax professional, somebody who know what they're doing, that could just have things more organized for you. But if you have a basic, simple return, then that's fine. You don't have to hire somebody and spend more money when you just have a basic tax return and you can file it, get your withholdings back, and keep it pushing. It's not a big deal. But if you have a business, if you have employees, if you need someone to do your bookkeeping, normally your bookkeeper does your taxes. If you have a business, that's a more complicated tax return. So yes, ideally, it is the best thing to do. Hire a tax advisor. If you want to do tax planning, if you got some future things in the making and you just want to be aware of certain tax credits that you can qualify for, you might want to hire a tax advisor so that they can keep you on point on these things and you're not leaving no money on the table, baby. Okay, so again, we just went over when is it smart to do your own taxes. I'm not gonna hold y'all long. I'm in the studio recording and I got some more content dropping. Make sure y'all subscribe to all of our socials, Tax City Bag Talk on everything: YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, all of that good stuff. And if y'all have any questions, let me know. Y'all already know I respond back quickly, give y'all as much free information that I can. But if you're really serious about taking your finances or your business to another level, then we can have a whole different conversation. Okay, so I hope y'all have a blessed day. Stay safe. Get out here and get some of this good money, baby.